It was in this atmosphere of desperate hope that Dr. Chen's team finally achieved a breakthrough. After months of relentless work, they had created a prototype of the subspace disruptor. "It's not pretty," Dr. Chen explained to Admiral Vasquez and a group of Alliance leaders, gesturing to a device that looked more like a jury-rigged collection of spare parts than a superweapon. "But our simulations show it should work." The plan was audacious. A small team would need to infiltrate a Voidborn command ship and activate the disruptor at its heart. The resulting subspace disruption would, in theory, sever the Voidborn's connection to their power source, rendering them vulnerable. "A suicide mission," murmured Xin'ra, her mandibles clicking in distress. "Maybe," admitted Vasquez, "but it's the best shot we've got." The task fell to a mixed team of Alliance specialists, led by the indomitable Captain Zara Chen, Dr. Chen's daughter, and one of Earth's most decorated Special Forces operatives. As the team prepared for their mission, Alliance forces launched a massive diversionary attack. Fleets engaged the Voidborn across multiple sectors, drawing attention away from the real objective. The infiltration team, aboard a ship using Dr. Tanaka's advanced camouflage technology, slipped through the Voidborn defenses. They latched onto the massive command ship, using cutting tools to carve their way inside. What followed was a harrowing journey through the alien vessel. The team fought through internal defenses and hostile environments, losing members along the way. Captain Chen, her face set in grim determination, pushed them forward. "Remember," she told her dwindling squad, "the fate of every living being in this galaxy rests on us." In a final, desperate push, they reached the ship's core. As Voidborn forces converged on their position, the team worked frantically to set up the disruptor. Captain Chen, buying time for her techs, engaged in hand-to-hand combat with Voidborn warriors. The sight of a human holding her own against these cosmic horrors would later become legendary. With seconds to spare, the disruptor was activated. A wave of energy pulsed outward, and for a moment, everything seemed to hang in perfect stillness. Then, chaos erupted. The Voidborn ship began to break apart, its very molecular structure destabilizing. Similar scenes played out across Voidborn-controlled space as their subspace link was severed. Captain Chen and the survivors of her team barely escaped, riding the shockwave in their battered ship. As they emerged from the debris field, they were greeted by an astonishing sight. The once invincible Voidborn armada was in disarray. Seizing the moment, Alliance forces launched a massive counterattack. Ships that had once fled from the Voidborn now tore into their vulnerable foes. On 1,000 worlds, oppressed populations rose up against their weakened overlords. The tide of war had finally turned. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted across Alliance space. Species that had been on the brink of extinction now dared to hope again. And at the center of it all stood humanity, the young race that had changed everything. But even as the Alliance reveled in its newfound advantage, troubling questions began to arise. The power humanity had unleashed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Some began to wonder, in saving the Alliance from the Voidborn, had humanity become a new kind of threat? As the fourth part of our story concludes, the galaxy stands at a crossroads. The Voidborn are on the retreat, but the full implications of humanity's actions have yet to be realized. The war's end is in sight, but the shape of the peace to come remains uncertain. The Galactic Alliance had known peace for so long that the concept of large-scale warfare seemed like a relic of a primitive past. This complacency was shattered, and the first distress calls came from the outer rim of Alliance space. The Voidborn, as they would come to be known, emerged from the depths of intergalactic space. Their massive obsidian ships appeared without warning, dwarfing even the largest Alliance vessels. Initial attempts at communication were met with silence, followed by devastating attacks that left entire worlds in ruins. Dr. Zara Chen, a human xenobiologist stationed on the frontier world of New Horizon, was among the first to witness the Voidborn's terrifying capabilities. As the planet's defenses crumbled, she managed to transmit crucial data back to Alliance headquarters before evacuating. "They're like nothing we've ever encountered," she reported, her voice shaking. "Their technology, their biology, it's beyond our comprehension. They don't conquer, they consume." The Alliance Council, caught off guard by the ferocity and speed of the Voidborn advance, struggled to mount an effective response. Species that had long since converted their military industries to peaceful purposes now scrambled to rearm. Humans, still relatively new to the galactic stage, watched in horror as worlds they had only recently learned about fell to the invaders. But where many saw only despair, humanity recognized a familiar scenario, one they have faced many times in their own history. Captain Miguel Ortega of the Earth Defense Force was among the first to volunteer for frontline duty. His ship, the EDF Intrepid, joined a hastily assembled Alliance fleet tasked with slowing the Voidborn advance. The battle that ensued in the Centauri sector would later be known as the opening salvo. Alliance ships, though outnumbered, fought with everything they had, but their weapons seemed to barely scratch the Voidborn vessels. Ortega, watching his allies fall one by one, made a desperate decision. "All power to engines," he ordered. "We're going to ram that bastard." The Intrepid, engines burning beyond safety limits, slammed into one of the smaller Voidborn ships. The resulting explosion tore both vessels apart, but it also revealed a weakness. The Voidborn ship, its hull breached, began to disintegrate. "They can be hurt," Ortega transmitted moments before his ship's systems failed. "Hit them hard enough, and they break like anything else." This costly discovery marked a turning point. The Alliance, realizing that conventional tactics wouldn't suffice, began to adapt. But the cost was high. World after world fell to the Voidborn, each defeat pushing the Alliance further back. On Xin'ra's homeworld, the Zaraquin faced the invaders with their most advanced technology. Swarms of autonomous drones clouded the skies, guided by artificial intelligences that had taken millennia to develop. Yet even these marvels proved insufficient against the Voidborn onslaught. As her people evacuated, Xin'ra couldn't help but remember the humans she had first contacted years ago. Their words now echoed in her mind. "We faced extinction before. We know what it means to fight with our backs against the wall." Across Alliance space, other species faced similar trials. The Etheri, beings of pure energy, found their stellar habitats corrupted by Voidborn technology. The silicon-based Petrovasians watched in horror as their rocky worlds were shattered, harvested for resources by the invaders. Humanity, despite its relative inexperience in galactic affairs, refused to stand idle. Earth opened its doors to refugees, while human scientists worked tirelessly to understand the Voidborn threat. Their militaries, maintained despite the peaceful overtures of the Alliance, were quickly mobilized. Dr. Chen, having survived the fall of New Horizon, threw herself into studying Voidborn biology. Her findings, though preliminary, were disturbing. "They're not just conquerors," she reported to the Alliance Council. "They're terraformers on a galactic scale. They're reshaping our worlds to suit their needs." This revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance. The Voidborn weren't merely invaders, they were an extinction-level threat to all known life. As the Voidborn pressed deeper into Alliance territory, a grim reality set in. Traditional methods of warfare, diplomacy, and even the most advanced technologies were proving ineffective. The galaxy needed a new approach, a way of thinking outside the norms that had governed galactic society for eons. In this darkest hour, all eyes began to turn to the newcomers, the species that had already demonstrated an uncanny ability to adapt and innovate, humanity. Little did the Alliance know that this decision would change the course of the war and the fate of the galaxy in ways none could have predicted. As the second part of our story concludes, humanity stands ready to unleash its full potential, for better or for worse. As the Voidborn continued their relentless advance, the Galactic Alliance found itself in unfamiliar territory, facing an enemy that couldn't be reasoned with, couldn't be appeased, and seemed impossible to defeat. It was in this moment of desperation that humanity's unique qualities began to shine. Admiral Helena Vasquez, a veteran of Earth's pre-alliance conflicts, addressed the emergency session of the Galactic Council. Her words, translated into dozens of alien languages, rang through the chamber with unwavering resolve. Members of the Alliance, we stand at the precipice, but humanity has been here before. Our history is written in the blood of those who faced annihilation and refused to yield. Now, we offer you not just our strength, but our experience in facing the unthinkable. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices. Some welcomed humanity's offer, while others expressed skepticism. How could this young species, barely a blip in galactic history, turn the tide against an enemy that had felled ancient civilizations? Xin'ra, her exoskeleton bearing the scars of recent battles, raised her voice above the din. I have known humans since their first steps into our community. Their history, which they guard so closely, is one of constant struggle and innovation. If any species can find a way, it is them. With the Council's reluctant blessing, humanity took charge of the Alliance's war effort. Their first act was to completely reorganize the command structure, breaking down the rigid hierarchies that had long defined Alliance military doctrine. Jack Harper, a former guerrilla tactics instructor, introduced the concept of asymmetric warfare to species that had long relied on overwhelming force or technological superiority. We're smaller, we're outgunned, but we're sure as hell not going to fight on their terms, he growled to a room full of alien military leaders. Human engineers, working alongside the brightest minds of other species, began to revolutionize Alliance technology. They didn't seek to match the Voidborn's advanced tech. Instead, they looked for creative ways to exploit weaknesses. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, drawing inspiration from Earth's oceanic lifeforms, developed a new form of adaptive camouflage that could fool even the Voidborn's advanced sensors. Sometimes, the best defense is not being seen at all, she explained as the first stealth ships rolled out of makeshift shipyards. On the ground, human tactics began to make a difference. Instead of facing the Voidborn in open battle, Alliance forces adopted hit-and-run strategies. They struck at supply lines, ambushed patrols, and disappeared before the enemy could respond. Maria Consuelo, a master of urban warfare, trained mixed-species squads in the art of insurgency. Your homes are not lost, she told refugees-turned-fighters. They are now your fortresses, every building a bunker, every street a battlefield you know better than they ever will. But it wasn't just in warfare that humanity's influence began to turn the tide. Their diplomatic course, led by the charismatic Zara Okoro, worked tirelessly to unite the disparate species of the Alliance. Where ancient rivalries and cultural differences had led to hesitation and discord, humanity's mediators found common ground. We are not fighting for our individual worlds anymore, Okoro proclaimed in a galactic-wide broadcast. We are fighting for life itself, in all its beautiful diversity. United, we are stronger than any force that seeks to destroy us. This message of unity, combined with humanity's innovative military strategies, began to have an effect. For the first time since the invasion began, the Voidborn's advance slowed. Yet, victory remained a distant dream. The enemy still held vast swaths of Alliance space, and their resource advantage seemed insurmountable. It was clear that stopping them wasn't enough. The Alliance needed a way to push them back. Dr. Chen, continuing her research into Voidborn biology, made a breakthrough that would change the course of the war. They're not invulnerable, she announced to a packed briefing room. Their biology, their technology, it's all connected to subspace in a way we never imagined. If we can disrupt that connection, the implications were staggering. A way to not just fight the Voidborn, but to fundamentally undermine their power. But the path to developing such a weapon would require resources and risks beyond anything the Alliance had ever attempted. As news of this potential game-changer spread, debates raged across Alliance space. The ethical implications of such a weapon, the dangers of its development, and the fear of it falling into Voidborn hands all had to be considered. Once again, it was a human who cut through the deliberations. Admiral Vasquez, her face haggard from months of ceaseless warfare, addressed the council. "Every moment we hesitate, more worlds fall. We didn't come this far to second-guess ourselves now. Humanity will bear the burden of this decision." With those words, the die was cast. As the third part of our story concludes, humanity prepares to unleash its full scientific and military might in a desperate gamble to save the galaxy. The Voidborn, unaware of the storm brewing against them, continue their implacable advance. The stage is set for a confrontation that will determine the fate of all life in the Milky Way. The development of the subspace disruptor, as Dr. Chen's theoretical weapon came to be known, became the galaxy's most closely guarded secret. Hidden facilities were established on remote worlds, shielded from prying eyes and Voidborn sensors. Here, the brightest minds of a dozen species worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of known science. Dr. Chen led the research team, her eyes constantly ringed with exhaustion, but burning with determination. "We're not just building a weapon," she reminded her diverse crew. "We're creating a key to unlock the Voidborn's defeat." While the scientists labored, the war raged on. Human-led Alliance forces continued their guerrilla tactics, buying precious time with blood and sacrifice. Every day brought news of heroism and loss from 100 fronts. On the jungle world of Vermilion Prime, a mixed squad of humans and ethereal energy beings held off a Voidborn assault for weeks, using the dense foliage to mask their movements and launch devastating ambushes. Their commander, Lieutenant Amelia Durand, became a symbol of resistance across Alliance space. In the asteroid fields of the Kuiper Belt, improvised human mining ships engaged in cat-and-mouse games with Voidborn patrols. These nimble craft, piloted by daredevils like ace pilot Jin Sato, used the cluttered space to their advantage, striking from hidden positions and vanishing before retaliation could come. But for every victory, there were setbacks. The Voidborn, seemingly infinite in number, pressed on. Worlds continued to fall, and the Alliance's resources stretched thinner with each passing day. It was the Zarquin, an insectoid race known for their meticulous stellar cartography, who first stumbled upon the small blue planet in an unremarkable spiral arm. Initial scans revealed a technologically advancing civilization, but nothing that seemed particularly noteworthy to the Alliance's standards. Ambassador Xin'ra, a respected Zarquin diplomat, was tasked with making first contact. As her ship entered Earth's orbit, she marveled at the planet's beauty: swirling white clouds, vast blue oceans, and vibrant green landmasses. "Fascinating," she chittered to her crew. "Such diversity in a single biosphere." The humans' reaction to their arrival was a mixture of fear, wonder, and barely contained excitement. World leaders scrambled to present a united front, and within hours, a meeting was arranged with a hastily assembled delegation of Earth's most influential individuals. Xin'ra, towering over the humans at nearly 8 feet tall, addressed the gathered crowd. Her mandibles clicked as the translation device converted her speech. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Xin'ra of the Galactic Alliance. We come in peace and with an invitation to join our interstellar community." The humans listened intently as Xin'ra explained the vastness of the Alliance, the technologies they could share, and the cultural exchange that awaited them. Questions flew from all directions about faster-than-light travel, alien biology, and the mysteries of the universe. What struck Xin'ra most was the humans' insatiable curiosity. Where other species might have been overwhelmed, these bipeds seemed energized by the flood of new information. In the days that followed, as news of alien contact spread across the globe, Xin'ra and her team observed humanity's reaction. They witnessed celebrations in the streets, heated debates on viewscreens, and a surge of creativity as artists and writers imagined new futures among the stars. But it wasn't all positive. The Alliance representatives also saw fear, suspicion, and calls for isolation. Some humans worried about losing their identity, others about potential threats from the cosmos. Despite these concerns, Earth's governments eventually agreed to join the Galactic Alliance. The decision was far from unanimous, but the promise of advanced technology and the opportunity to explore the stars proved too tempting to resist. As humans began to integrate into the galactic community, the other species watched with a mixture of amusement and condescension. Humans were seen as quaint, their technology primitive by comparison. Many Alliance members viewed them as children, eager but naive. Xin'ra, however, sensed something different. She saw a fire in human eyes that both thrilled and unnerved her. Their adaptability was unlike anything she had encountered before. Where other species specialized, humans seemed to excel at becoming jacks of all trades. Within a decade, humans had spread throughout Alliance space. They worked as traders, diplomats, scientists, and explorers. Their art and culture, so varied and vibrant, became the latest fascination in galactic society. Yet, for all their integration, humans remained somewhat of an enigma. They spoke little of their history, deflecting questions about their past conflicts and struggles. This reticence was noted but not deeply questioned by the Alliance members, who were content to focus on humanity's present contributions. As the years passed, humans continued to surprise the galactic community. They mastered alien technologies with remarkable speed, often finding new applications that the original inventors hadn't considered. Their colonies flourished in environments that other species found challenging. Xin'ra, now serving on the Alliance's Central Council, often found herself defending humanity against those who saw them as upstarts or potential threats. They may be young, she would argue, but their potential is undeniable. Little did Xin'ra or any other member of the Galactic Alliance realize just how quickly that potential would be put to the test. For on the fringes of known space, a darkness was stirring, a force that would soon threaten everything the Alliance had built. As the first part of our story concludes, humanity stands on the brink of a galactic age, unaware of the crucial role they will soon play in the greatest conflict the Milky Way has ever known. As the Voidborn reeled from the devastating effects of the subspace disruptor, the Alliance pressed its advantage. Fleets of ships, many of them human-designed or retrofit with human technology, struck deep into enemy-held territory. World after world was liberated, each victory adding momentum to the Alliance's resurgence. But the cost of these triumphs was immense. The subspace disruptor's effects, while catastrophic to the Voidborn, had unforeseen consequences for the fabric of spacetime itself. Regions of space became unstable, with some systems becoming completely inaccessible due to severe spatial distortions. Dr. Chen, watching the data stream in from across the galaxy, felt a growing sense of dread. "We've opened Pandora's box," she confided to Admiral Vasquez. "The laws of physics themselves are rebelling against what we've done." The Alliance leadership faced a difficult decision. The weapon that had saved them could also be their undoing if used without restraint. After heated debate, it was decided to limit the use of subspace disruptors to only the most critical engagements. Even with this restriction, humanity's other contributions continued to shift the balance of power. Human-led teams developed countermeasures against Voidborn biological weapons, created more efficient faster-than-light drives, and even found ways to partially reverse the environmental damage done to conquered worlds. These achievements, while celebrated by many, began to stir unease among some members of the Alliance. Species that had once seen humans as quaint newcomers now watched with a mixture of awe and fear as humanity's influence grew. Xin'ra, addressing a closed session of the Alliance Council, gave voice to these concerns. "We asked them to save us, and they have delivered beyond our wildest expectations. But at what cost, we must ask ourselves, are we prepared for a galaxy where humanity holds such power?" The debate raged across Alliance space. Some argued that humanity had earned its place of prominence through sacrifice and innovation. Others feared that humans, with a history of conflict and their relentless drive, might become a force as destructive as the Voidborn themselves. Humanity, for its part, seemed almost uncomfortable with its newfound status. Leaders like Admiral Vasquez worked tirelessly to reassure Alliance members of Earth's commitment to galactic peace and cooperation. "We didn't fight this war to become conquerors," Vasquez declared in a speech broadcast across the Alliance. "We fought to preserve life in all its diversity. The power we've gained is a responsibility, not a right to rule." But actions spoke louder than words, and humanity's actions in the war's final phases were nothing short of awe-inspiring. On the fortress world of Nexus Prime, a Voidborn stronghold fought impregnable, a human-led assault broke through defenses that had repelled the combined might of a dozen species. The sight of Earth Marines fighting alongside Zarquin warriors and Etheri energy beings became a symbol of the new galactic order. In the space lanes, human captains like the legendary Isabella Cruz led daring raids that crippled Voidborn supply lines. Her tactics, a fusion of historical Earth naval strategies and cutting-edge Alliance technology, would be studied in war colleges for generations to come. Perhaps most impressively, it was a team of human scientists and diplomats who finally managed to establish communication with a captured Voidborn entity. The insights gained from this encounter were disturbing but crucial, providing the Alliance with a deeper understanding of the enemy's motives and weaknesses. As the war entered its final stages, the full extent of humanity's impact on galactic civilization became clear. Species that had been set in their ways for millennia now embraced change and innovation. The rigid hierarchies and slow-moving bureaucracies that had hampered the early war effort were being replaced by more dynamic, adaptable structures, many of them modeled on human organizations. But this rapid change brought its own set of challenges. Cultural clashes erupted on worlds where humans worked alongside other species. There were accusations of humans receiving preferential treatment in Alliance institutions. Some even whispered that humanity was deliberately keeping certain technologies secret, preparing for a future where they would rule the galaxy. These tensions came to a head during the liberation of Xin'ra's homeworld. Human forces, spearheading the assault, used tactics that appalled many of the more traditionally minded Zarquin. The planet was freed, but at a cost that left its inhabitants questioning whether the cure had been worse than the disease. As news of this operation spread, protests erupted on some Alliance worlds. Images of human soldiers standing amid the ruins of ancient Zarquin cities became a rallying point for those who feared humanity's growing power. Admiral Vasquez, addressing these concerns, didn't shy away from the harsh realities of war. "We fight as we must, not as we wish we could," she stated firmly. "The Voidborn gave us no choice but to become the weapon the galaxy needed. History will judge us, but first, we must ensure there's a future in which that judgment can be made." As the fifth part of our story concludes, the galaxy stands on the brink of final victory against the Voidborn. But the peace that follows may prove just as challenging as the war itself. Humanity, once welcomed as saviors, now finds itself at the center of a galactic controversy. The question on every being's mind: what kind of future awaits a galaxy where humans have unleashed their full potential? The fall of the Voidborn capital marked the official end of the war. After years of brutal conflict, the galaxy's greatest threat had been vanquished. The celebrations that followed were unlike anything the Alliance had ever seen, with jubilant crowds of 100 species filling the streets of every major world. But as the initial euphoria faded, the monumental task of rebuilding began. Entire civilizations had been shattered, planets rendered uninhabitable, and the very fabric of space-time had been altered in some regions. The galaxy had emerged from the war was fundamentally changed, and at the center of this transformation stood humanity. The immediate post-war period saw humans taking leading roles in reconstruction efforts across Alliance space. Their adaptability and ingenuity, so crucial during the conflict, proved equally valuable in peace. Human engineers developed new technologies to restore ravaged ecosystems, while human diplomats worked tirelessly to mediate disputes between species competing for limited resources. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a pioneer in xenobiology, led efforts to understand and counteract the long-term effects of Voidborn occupation on various worlds. Her work not only saved countless lives, but also deepened the galaxy's understanding of life itself. In fighting the Voidborn, we've gained insights that will propel our sciences forward by centuries, she explained at a galactic symposium. Our challenge now is to use this knowledge wisely to heal rather than harm. But not all of humanity's post-war contributions were viewed positively. The militarization that had been necessary for survival during the conflict didn't simply disappear overnight. Human-designed weapons and combat tactics proliferated throughout the galaxy, sparking fears of a new arms race. Moreover, the philosophical impact of humanity's rise couldn't be overstated. Species that had once seen themselves as the pinnacle of evolution now grappled with the reality that a newcomer race had essentially saved the galaxy. This led to a wave of soul-searching across Alliance space, with some embracing change, while others retreated into isolationism. Xin'ra, now serving as the head of a newly formed committee on interspecies relations, found herself constantly mediating between pro-human and anti-human factions. "We cannot deny the debt we owe humanity," she often said, "but neither can we ignore the valid concerns of those who fear the pace of change they represent." The debate came to a head 5 years after the war's end, at a special session of the Galactic Council. The question at hand: should humanity be granted a permanent seat on the Council, a position traditionally reserved for species with at least a millennium of galactic citizenship? The Council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from across the Alliance argued passionately on both sides. Those in favor pointed to humanity's crucial role in defeating the Voidborn and their ongoing contributions to galactic recovery. Those against warned of concentrating too much power in the hands of such a young and potentially volatile species. As the debate reached its peak, a surprise speaker took the floor. Captain Zara Chen, the hero of the mission that turned the tide of war, addressed the Council. "I've seen the best and worst of what humanity can do," she began, her voice carrying the weight of her experiences. "We are capable of incredible courage, innovation, and compassion. But we are also capable of terrible destruction when we're afraid or angry. The power we wield now is not just a gift, it's a test of our character as a species." Her words silenced the chamber. Here was a human, admired across the galaxy, acknowledging the fears that many harbored. "We don't ask for this seat as a reward," she continued. "We ask for it because we believe in the promise of this alliance. We want to be partners in shaping a future where all our species can thrive together. Judge us not by our age, but by our actions and our potential." The speech swayed many undecided voters. When the final tally was counted, humanity was granted its seat on the Council by a narrow margin. The decision was met with cheers and protests across Alliance space, a sign of the complicated times ahead. As news of the vote spread, Admiral Vasquez, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Alliance, reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. "We came to the stars looking for new horizons," she mused. "We found a galaxy in peril and rose to a challenge greater than anything in our history. Now comes the real test. Can we help build a peace as lasting as the war was devastating?" The years that followed would be ones of great change and occasional turmoil. Humanity's influence continued to grow, but so did efforts to check that influence. New alliances formed, old ones evolved, and the balance of power in the galaxy shifted in ways no one could have predicted. Yet through it all, the core ideals that had saved the galaxy from the Voidborn endured. The spirit of cooperation forged in the crucible of war, the drive to explore and innovate, and the fundamental belief in the value of all sentient life. These became the foundation of a new galactic civilization. As our story concludes, we see a galaxy forever changed by humanity's emergence onto the cosmic stage. The future remains uncertain, filled with both promise and peril. But one thing is clear: in the vast expanse of the Milky Way, humanity has found not just a new home, but a destiny intertwined with the fate of all life in the cosmos. The end of the Voidborn was just the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history, one in which humanity would play a central, if controversial, role. As new challenges emerge and old wounds heal, the galaxy looks to the stars with renewed wonder, ready to face whatever the future may bring.